Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, where we get set to rock and roll for 83 laps at 125 miles of Truck Series action tonight for round number 11 on the Roddcar Truck Tour Season 2 Championship. From the Windy City, it is the Chicagoland 125. We're happy to have you with us right here on the home for sim racing LSRTV Live at iRacing Live tonight. Myself, Evan Pizzoco, Andy Kessler topside with you as always, and Cisco Scaramouza is downstairs in the production trailer and are ready to go. Chicagoland Speedway, one of my favorite intermediate racetracks, Andy, and I will admit maybe I'm a little biased because I have one ever win in like official iRacing racing in the B Series, and it came at Chicago. Other than that, it's a fun track. It's a curved back straightaway. It's a little bit unique, and it's a challenge for these guys.
Yeah, that's a good reason. That's a good reason to have it your favorite, and of course it's Cisco's home track. So it's always a fun place to come to. But it's one of those great places to race at. It's kind of, I guess, I would call it similar to Atlanta as far as the surface. The tire wear is very key to this place. But like you said, that curved back straightaway, it makes it a lot of fun because you're technically this whole way around the racetrack turning left. It's slightly left on the back straightaway, but you're still turning. If you're not paying attention, that wall will creep up on you pretty quickly there, especially when you're getting ready to enter turn number 3. So this is definitely a fun track, a fun racetrack. You're going to see these guys move around a lot, too. They're going to start off on that bottom side, especially the first few laps. But as the tires wear out, you'll see them push up and try to get that run and use the momentum on the high side. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good racetrack, and I expect a lot of fun and a lot of side-by-side racing as well.
And you're seeing out on the racetrack right now, these guys are working through their 5-minute open qualifying session for the tracks that are under 2 miles in length. It's the standard qualifying format, and it's a little bit exciting out there. A lot of the 1.5-mile tracks are referred to as cookie cutters, and you could argue that there's only one lane, and, well, you can't really do a lot with the truck and a quarter here. Again, that curve on the back stretch. The very wide apron as well on the front straightaway also is going to give these guys a lot to play with tonight, and it's certainly going to be a fun one. 1 week ago, Brandon Chiburko picked up his second consecutive win. It also marked the start of the second half on this 2016 season. Let's take a quick peek at your results from round 10 at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Chiburko got the checkered flag. Casey Malone, another solid finish in P2. Your championship leader, Seth the Merchant, coming home third. And as we march on in the championship, Andy, you can have guys like Chiburko, Malone, putting in strong finishes, sir, but if Seth the Merchant, if he doesn't go anywhere outside of the top 5, it's going to be pretty hard to catch up to him because he's almost a race in front of these guys.
Yeah, he's been just so consistent right off from the start from race number 1, and he's got basically a one-race lead. He's not here tonight yet. I don't know if he's going to actually get in here and make this race, so this will definitely shake up the point standings by him not being here. But you look at the top of the board, Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson, and Casey Malone, those 3 drivers, minimum of 2 wins each. Casey Malone, of course, has 3. And then you got a guy like Brandon Chiburko, like you said, won the last 2 weeks in a row. He did that last season in the first season as well. He ended up with 5 wins, but there was a point where he won 4 in a row. And I mentioned that to him in Victory Lane last week as well, that maybe he's on a streak again to get another 4 in a row. So we'll have to see if he can get that done again this week.
And if we don't see Seth the Merchant take to the racetrack, well, that could definitely change things up as well. We're going to have a field, looks like about 20 drivers so far have taken a time in the qualifying session. So let's toss things down trackside for tonight's opening ceremonies, and down with Jaded Berkey, the performance of tonight's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
The drivers are on the grid and we're set to rock and roll for the Chicagoland 125. Let's take a look trackside at your Roddcar Truck Tour starting grid. Mark Jorgensen Jr. driving a number 88 Chevrolet. Well, he'll bring us across the start-finish line to get us underway tonight to 31.25. Good enough to put him on pole position. And Rodney Wofford will sit shotgun to that in P2. Tom Moustakis will roll from third tonight. Christian Peterson 17th in practice to fourth in Q. And then the fastest driver in practice is P5. That's Jaberko.
Starting sixth tonight on the grid, that's the 94 of Frank Busilia. Rod Flagg, good starting spot for him. He'll roll off in that seventh starting spot. 41 of Ryan Pyland will start eighth. Ninth goes to Josh Ball. And the 10th starting spot, that goes to the 89 of Matt Quick.
Then you got McKeechin back. He's going to be number 11 spot. 12th, Dana Osborne, Sean Bounty. 13th, 14th to James Pileski. And rounding out your top 15, the 77, that's Justin Anderson.
Ryan Keese will start 16th in that 24 machine. Ray Rittenauer will roll off in the 17th spot. Outside of row number 9, that's the 11 of Mark Emery. Ramon Evans will start 19th. Jared Haggerty, last truck to take a time, will start 20th. And Glenn Hedrick will round out this 21 truck field.
21 drivers, none of which are your championship leader, Seth the Merchant, and well, it might change the complexion of the championship standings outside of tonight's competition. We do have to remind you that in this Season 2 Roddcar Truck Tour campaign, much as we saw in Season 1, there are going to be 4 of the 18 weeks dropped. So your 4 worst finishes not going to count towards the points. So you're going to have 14 races of points tallying up to determine our championship. A DNS is counting as one of those not good finishes. So it's not going to be a huge deal for Seth the Merchant. And again, he's not the first driver to miss his start through 10 weeks of competition. Probably one of the more notable ones, I will say. But once we get down the races 15 through 18, that's when those numbers are going to be fun. And, you know, in some leagues we'll see a drop or two. 4 is quite a big number, but it really allows these guys to focus on quality over quantity of starts and finishes. The pace car is going to drop down to the wayside, and as always, we're happy that you're joining us right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Mark Jorgensen Jr., he'll bring us into the American Ethanol restart zone, and green flag flies underway from the Windy City. How about some 3-wide action already? Pyland, the number 41 Chevy, he did not get up the third gear, and they're 3-wide down in turn 1, beating and bang on the inside 2.
Yeah, Shane McKeechin and the 89 of Matt Quick actually made some contact there and almost pushed him up into Ryan Pyland. They continue to go 3 wide and back in the field, and the 41 just had a horrible start there. Almost jumped it, almost got to the back of Busilia, had to get out of it, went up to the high side. It's still 3 wide with those drivers there, but Tom Moustakis from third on the grid takes over the race lead off third forward.
He wasted no time getting up through, and with the use of that apron on the inside of the racetrack, they're able to slingshot their way in front. Number 3 of Brandon Jaberko, he's trying to do the same. The Goodwrench Chevrolet not clear on the top side. The Tracker Boats entry of Jorgensen, he's not going to roll over and give this one up, but you have to think the inside has got to be the better place to be into turn number 3, and he's got it. So Moustakis to the point move, Jaberko now up into P2, and you're at time pole sitter in the back now. Jorgensen, he's not even guaranteed to hang on to P3 because he's got a challenge to the inside, and Rod Flagg, who has had one of the fastest trucks we've seen from him all season long, 4th in practice, qualified at P7. He wants a shot at P3 on lap number 3.
Yeah, he's trying to get it done right now on that bottom line. You can see the top side, at least for Jorgensen for the time being. has allowed him to keep up with him right there on the outside lane. You'll see Rod Flag take over that. Is right in front of him. Battle for the lead. Brandon Jaburka with a huge run off of turn number 4. He'll pull up even with Tom Moustakis, and it looks like a dead heat tie right there at the start-finish line for that lap lead. They'll credit it, though, to that 10 of Tom Moustakis. They continue to battle side by side for that race lead.
And that's going to allow the 26 of Rod Flag to catch up to them as well. So far inside the place to be, but again, rubber going to be put down on the racetrack. The outside is a relatively good starting spot here at the Chicagoland Speedway. 18 degrees of banking. The problem is that apron all the way down to the yellow line. They go. Moustakis to the right rear quarter panel of the number 3. Rod Flag peeks to the inside. He'll restrain himself for the moment. These guys are going at it. And finally, at a turn number 2, you can give the race lead back to Brandon Jaburka down the back stretch. Moustakis tries to split the gap. He can't get clear, though, on Rod Flag, and he'll have to sit in third. The Cheerios Chevrolet wants to go to the point.
Look at him go. That 26 that looks bad fast here tonight. Hopefully he can keep that thing pointed in the right direction all night. Has had some bad luck, and it seems only the important races, maybe the shootouts and the All-Star race, those are where you see Rod Flag picking up the victories. He's looking for a victory here at Chicagoland. He takes over the race lead, gets a little bump there off of turn number 2. Brandon Jaburka will give him that shot, but look at the 7. Rodney Wofford now getting his nose right up into the picture now. They'll battle side by side for that second spot off turn 4.
Rod Flag looking to save some money on shipping and take the trophy home for himself, but he's out in front at lap number 6. In this battle, it's not going to slow down anytime soon. We mentioned Rodney Wofford. He's back to where he started, P2. Outside of the front row wasn't a good spot to be in, but you see Moustakis, the 10, would probably be in the lead if Rod Flag wasn't on the inside of Jaburka there. He tried to split the gap 2 times to go down the back straightaway, and now he finds himself just trying to stay in the top 3, and Jaburka, he'll come down across the nose in a battle that's for P3. Close call there. Your top 5 still battle within half a second of each other.
Yeah, and while those guys were battling for that second spot, Rod Flag was able to pull out to about 4 or 5 truck length lead right now. Rodney Wofford chasing him down in that second spot. You see battling all different lanes, all going all over the place here as they go almost 3 wide there for that third position. Brandon Jaburka way up to the high side, almost up against that wall, almost a Dale Jr. line there for that 3 truck. And you can already see it here, only just under 10 laps into this race, and guys are already searching around for grip, especially in turns 1 and 2.
And they're moving around a lot on the racetrack as well, which means they get a couple of guys. The inside opens up. Might not be the preferred lane, but if there's a spot and there's a will, there's a way. And the battling up inside the top 5 has not been exclusive to the front of the field. There is plenty of battling all over the racetrack. Look just inside the top 10. Side by side down the back we go. The 48 of Josh Ball. He's going at it with the 34 of Sean Boundy, 1.2 seconds back. And these guys are at the tail end of about a 6-car pack running in a group of about 7/10 of a second, separating them all together. So there's plenty of action out on track, but the biggest lead we've seen all night goes in favor of Rod Flag, the 26 Chevrolet, now out in front by 4/10.
Yeah, he hasn't relinquished any of that time right now. It's pretty much stabilized itself over the last couple of laps here. They still battle all over the place inside this top 10. Jaburka trying to hang on to that third spot. Really dives it into turn number 3 right there. We'll see if he can be able to keep it stuck down to the bottom. He does a great job right there. He'll keep that spot now over Jorgensen Jr. Tom Moustakis is still struggling after losing that lead. He's all the way down to that 5th spot now, trying to get more. He's looking on the high side now. And what about Sean Bounty, all the way moving himself up into the top 10 after starting way outside of it here early on.
And Bounty, as we mentioned a couple of times, coming off of what so far has been a successful season through 10 races, and had a successful finish just a couple of weeks ago, especially with the P2 at Kentucky. Caution flag is out, though. It will slow him down early at lap number 11. A pace car going to be dispatched at its problems. It looks like turn number 4 for that number 21 entry of Glenn Hendrick. He's turned around at least in quarter number 4, trying to see if it's a multi-truck accident. He had a little bit of assistance there, and I don't know, the 11 machine turned him around, so contact with him and Mark Emery in the corner, Andy, but I mean, we talk about guys going on the apron. You go on the apron on the front stretch, not in the turn. I'm not sure where he wanted the 11 truck to go.
Yeah, well, you know what, too, though? He left a little bit of a lane there, but I think that 21 was really trying to pinch him down to the bottom, and I don't know really who you blame there. I mean, maybe it's a little too early for the 21 to maybe pinch down that much going into the corner, or maybe it was too early for the 11 to push the issue and force it into a hole that quite kind of wasn't there. So maybe put the blame on both of those guys, but just a racing deal there, running towards the back of the pack, and that'll put that 21 machine a lap down.
And that means it is an early swarm down to the pit lane, led by Roddcar, expecting 4 tires at a field, possibly for the guys up at the front of the field. But for somebody deeper in the pack at 21, it's your opportunity now to stay out or take 2 tires and gamble a little bit. And it's going to be a drag race off the pit lane. Roddcar not going to be anywhere near the front of it all, the 26. He'll be beat out by Rodney Wofford, Jared Haggerty, Mark Jorgensen Jr. A couple of those names, I know at least Haggerty and then I caught him a sheet, took 2 tires. Hearing Jorgensen did as well. And Ray Rittenauer with the second, however, in the number 87 machine. He came down to the pit lane, drove straight on through. That, I imagine, would be a strategy call, and we'll probably see him back down in the pit lane this next time around, or at least before we go back into green flag conditions, but Roddcar's not going to be in front. This is good for these guys. It looks bad. Roddcar gets shuffled back a little bit, Andy, but 13 laps out of 83 tonight, still with 70 laps to go. You're going to be able to get a little bit of an idea of what 2 tires is going to be able to do up against 4 tires early on. It kind of lets these guys know what they can and cannot do come later on in the race.
Yeah, I really think, Evan, that 2 tires is like Atlanta, like some of those other places, Vegas. I think these guys with the 2 tires are sitting ducks at this point. I don't think they're going to be able to hold it down on that bottom lane wide open like the rest of them will. So it's going to be one of them things. I think they're going to drop back pretty quickly here. The only thing that's going to maybe possibly save them is run about 5 or 6 laps, have a caution, maybe find themselves still in the top 10, then maybe put themselves back on the same cycle. But I really think 2 tires at this point in the race, just I don't think it's going to be worth it. I think you're going to see these guys drop back pretty quickly here.
We will see how well they stand up at the front of the field. A couple of guys to make the gamble were deeper in the pack, as I had mentioned. Ray Rittenauer, 17th to P1 right now. Again, I would imagine that'll be coming back down to the pit lane. If you roll through, it lets you pit at 1 to go. If you don't roll through the pit lane at all, pit road going to be closed for you at 2 laps to go. So that might be what he's doing. But Haggerty really made that gamble call for the middle of the pack. He started in 20th position. He's up to 3rd. The driver that I found interesting to make the call was Jorgensen, who was second best in practice, qualified at P1, really didn't lose a lot of track position. This gamble puts a lot on the line for him early.
Yeah, I think for him that's a real gamble for him. He had a fast enough truck to be up in the top 5, so really surprised at that 88. Not surprised Jared Haggerty tried something being way back in the field like that, but you look at his times. Practice, he was 20th. Qualifying, he was 20th. I think this just really puts him. I really think this just puts him in I really think it puts Jared Haggerty in a real tough spot here, just because I don't think he had the speed in the truck all night to begin with, and now you're going to throw just 2 tires on it. I think we're going to be looking for trouble here.
We get set to go at it. 21 drivers started this race. 21 drivers will remain on the lead lap in the opening laps at the Chicagoland Speedway. Mark Jorgensen Jr. out in front of the field. Haggerty P2, Wofford P3, and then the 4 tires begin from Roddcar on back. We'll see what the 26 can do. He'll be on the outside of row number 2, which historically, what we saw in the one and only restart we've seen so far, outside not the place to be. The driver that started in that spot at the drop of the first green flag, Christian Peterson, is now back in 16th position. We'll see how this one shakes out. Going to be with 68 laps remaining into Chicago 125. Round at number 11 of 18 on the 2016 Roddcar Truck Tour Season 2 Championship Campaign. Getting set for the re-green. The pace car goes down to the inside. We head to the American Ethanol restart box. Green flag flies, and under the green nylon they go. Back at it and side by side for the race lead at the start-finish on. Good jump and a challenge. Haggerty enough to have a nose to the finish line. They'll beat and bang down the turns 1 and 2. And Roddcar looks up the middle, thinking about some 3-1. He'll hold back for now, and a big lead for the 88 off the corner.
Yeah, he'll get the big lead right there, but you can see Haggerty struggled through 1 and 2 right there. That's going to bring Rodney Wofford now up to that 2nd spot. He should be able to get that position now as they continue to battle. way up on the high side. You see that 23 truck. Here comes Tom Moustakis now trying to get a run. Look at Haggerty trying to fight back for that second spot. Not going to happen. 3 wide, though, back for about that 7th spot there. John Bounty on the bottom, Josh Ball in the middle, and Chaburko way up on the high side.
And Chaburko was up on the radio saying, we got to get going, and there they go. 3 wide, the middle Ball, the inside Bounty, but the one on the move, the man going the longest way around. Outside, the good red Chevrolet. Brendan Chaburko on the move, and he'll get the 2 spots. A close call. The 48, nearly a ping pong ball in the middle of those guys off the corner, and somehow we end up with everybody still pointed straight and 2 wide down to turn number 1, but this pack of trucks is causing for some issues. More contact this time. The 77 of Anderson and the 48 of Josh Ball getting into each other's door. A lot of contact just inside the top 10, going on about 1 second off at the top spot.
Wow, look at big wreck there. Jared Haggerty in that 23 truck. Caution is out. Contact with the 10. Lots of contact right there, and just flat out lost it there going into turn number 3. Ended up on his roof and a couple flips there.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact there, and you talk about guys getting heated early. Haggerty coming off the corner, gone a little bit sideways at a 2, so he did spin down into the 10 of Moustakis. You could argue the 10 was pinching him a little bit, and it basically destroyed the icon of Machida Jared Haggerty, and it looked like the 10 moved up the racetrack, obviously, I think, Andy, to just make the corner, and I think the 23 tried to send him in, and it didn't work, and he takes himself out, and that's a hard hit for Haggerty in turn 3.
Yeah, it is. It almost sounded like on the radio he was blaming the 3 truck. The 3 truck was actually about 6-7 car lengths behind, just kind of watching this go on. So that's pretty interesting. I think he just noticed it was a black truck, and that was about it. So pit road open, and the leaders coming back down pit road. Looks like one driver at least staying out on the racetrack right there, and it looks like that was the 48 of Josh Ball. So he's deciding he doesn't want anything to do with that traffic he was in. He was running some 3 wide action there, but our leaders coming back down pit road. Not surprised at all on this. Might see some more guys try that 2-tire thing, but we saw what happened to the 23 of Jared Haggerty. I still would take 4 tires at this point.
Yeah, he brings that Air Haggerty, number 23, down to the pit lane, and I think for him mistaking it for the 3 of Chaburko is good, Andy, because it tells me that it's not like he is intentionally getting into somebody. It was just 2 guys going at each other. And you know, black track, hey, but the caution comes out, he gets the worst end of the deal. He'll be down pit side with a couple of other guys that are trying to get their trucks fixed up. Somehow Remote Evans has gotten beat up a little bit. We still see the damage on Glenn Hedrick's number 21 Bashid a little bit earlier on in this competition. So far, a lot of great racing, but what comes hand in hand to that with is a little bit of contact, a little bit of bent sheet metal, and maybe a little bit of guys getting a little bit hot under the collar. Just 20 laps in. If that's the case, 63 laps to go. It's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And actually that 26 trucker, Rod Flagg, how fast he had been all in this beginning part of this race, and he got some damage on that one as well. So that's a tough break for that 26 machine. You hate to see it, a guy like that. We talked about last season, the end of 2015, with the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. just couldn't buy a break. I mean, just everywhere he went, didn't matter if it was the truck, the cup car, always found a way to get some sort of damage, get something knocked out of the race, and then I feel that that's been the same thing for Rod Flagg now all this season and even last season as well. So just trying to get that monkey off his back, that 26, more damage. We'll see if he can fight for it, and at least maybe, hopefully, if he can get that most of that damage fixed there. It looks like he should be able to get himself back in the top 5 or so, but I'm not sure if he'll have a race-winning truck at this point.
This looks like a race that could have a couple of contenders. Normally, I think it's easy to kind of gauge in the first couple of laps who's got the speed. But this is a track where the draft and the just the racing surface itself is allowing these guys to get up on each other and battle, and I think it's kind of hard to call who's in an advantage position so far. You're going to have the 48 of Josh Ball in control of the field. Mark Emery to the outside of the front row. Remember the 11, he was just in some contact a little bit early on. He's got some left-rear damage. We'll see how he's able to navigate the track with that left side of his Toyota Tundra beat up just a little. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, where we get set to rock and roll for 83 laps at 125 miles of Truck Series action tonight for round number 11 on the Roddcar Truck Tour Season 2 Championship. From the Windy City, it is the Chicagoland 125. We're happy to have you with us right here on the home for sim racing, LSRTV Live at iRacing Live tonight. Myself, Evan Pizzoco, Andy Kessler topside with you as always, and Cisco Scaramouza is downstairs in the production trailer and are ready to go. Chicagoland Speedway, one of my favorite intermediate racetracks, Andy, and I will admit maybe I'm a little biased because I have one ever win in like official iRacing racing in the B Series, and it came at Chicago. Other Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, where we get set to rock and roll for 83 laps at 125 miles of Truck Series action tonight for round number 11 on the Roddcar Truck Tour Season 2 Championship. From the Windy City, it is the Chicagoland 125. We're happy to have you with us right here on the home for sim racing, LSRTV Live at iRacing Live tonight. Myself, Evan Pizzoco, Andy Kessler topside with you as always, and Cisco Scaramouza is downstairs in the production trailer and are ready to go. Chicagoland Speedway, one of my favorite intermediate racetracks, Andy, and I will admit maybe I'm a little biased because I have one ever win in like official iRacing racing in the B Series, and it came at Chicago. Other than that, it's a fun track. It's a curved back straightaway. It's a little bit unique, and it's a challenge for these guys.
Yeah, that's a good reason. That's a good reason to have it your favorite, and of course it's Cisco's home track. So it's always a fun place to come to. But it's one of those great places to race at. It's kind of, I guess, I would call it similar to Atlanta as far as the surface. The tire wear is very key to this place. But like you said, that curved back straightaway, it makes it a lot of fun because you're technically this whole way around the racetrack turning left. It's slightly left on the back straightaway, but you're still turning. If you're not paying attention, that wall will creep up on you pretty quickly there, especially when you're getting ready to enter turn number 3. So this is definitely a fun track, a fun racetrack. You're going to see these guys move around a lot, too. They're going to start off on that bottom side, especially the first few laps. But as the tires wear out, you'll see them push up and try to get that run and use the momentum on the high side. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good racetrack, and I expect a lot of fun and a lot of side-by-side racing as well.
And you're seeing out on the racetrack right now, these guys are working through their 5-minute open qualifying session for the tracks that are under 2 miles in length. It's the standard qualifying format, and it's a little bit exciting out there. A lot of the 1.5 mile tracks are referred to as cookie cutters, and you could argue that there's only one lane, and well, you can't really do a lot with the truck and a quarter here. Again, that curve on the back stretch. The very wide apron as well on the front straightaway also is going to give these guys a lot to play with tonight. And it's certainly going to be a fun one. Chicagoland Speedway, the pace car going to get down and out of the way, and we'll look for our third restart on the evening. Couple of yellows early, coupled with a lot of excited racing. It's been up and down so far, but Ronnie Wofford leads in front of Josh Ball, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Brandon Chiberko, and Christian Peterson. Just 27 laps in so far in tonight's 83-lap contest, and haven't had to deal with it a lot, but we're starting to get close to the time limit as well. We'll keep an eye on that. The green flag drops, though, back at it again, and side by side to turn one, and a good jump this time for the control car, the 7 Wofford. He'll be clear by the time we get to turns 1 and 2, and the door wide open for Jorgensen. Not a good jump by Josh Ball. That'll cost him at least 2, if not 3 spots. You see the 7-1 of Peterson. He's digging on the inside, and we all know Chiberko won't take it easy either on the bottom. It's a lot of guys that the 48 machine's going to have to deal with if he wants to get back to the inside. They're all lined up to his bottom.
Yeah, 3 of them have cleared that 48 so far. Chiberko now way to the apron, looking to get that spot as well. Josh Ball will find himself from 2nd to 5th just like that in 1 lap's time. And top 5 now single file, making the top 6. Side-by-side battle, that's for 7. Got Ryan Pyland now to the inside. Matt Quick on the outside, the top side. Slight advantage for Matt Quick that time. Pyland's going to fall back in line now, and we're going to continue to race it on. Pyland now, he's got some pressure though. Got Shane McKeechin looking to the inside, not going to happen. 3 wide, further back. Look at the 8 of Dana Osborne, Rod Flagg. This is all happening right behind him. You got Frank Busili involved in the 77 of Justin Anderson as well.
And they're going to squeeze him in tight to turn 1. The 77 of Anderson, the only one that went down to the apron on the front. They're going to run out of room. There they go, up into the 8 machine. Turn down the racetrack. Dana Osborne, he'll come back up. He takes the 24. He takes the 94 with him. And more junk, this time in 2.
Another caution on the night, and I'll tell you what, Evan. I expected a lot of side-by-side racing, but I did not expect as much 3-wide action as we've seen tonight. And so far, I'd have to say that the majority of the cautions we've had, it's been because of the 3-wide action on the track.
Yeah, they made it work once, and I think they said, all right, we're going to go 3 wide all night, and that's 2 times in a row that it has not worked. And again, it was fine on the front stretch. There's plenty of room, but you saw how tight they got into turn number 1. They're going to run out of room eventually when they get out of turn 2, and a 94 machine really had nowhere to go. You saw Frank Basilia. He tried to get out of the way. He saw the 77 coming up on him, and just nowhere for him to go. And the irony of it, and the irony of most of these accidents, Andy, is that any of those 3 drivers probably could have backed out of it to avoid the 3-wide. Justin Anderson's the one that pushed up, put the 94 into the trucks behind him, and the 77 is the one that walks away with no damage.
Yeah, exactly, and that's usually what happens. The guys on the higher side end up with all the damage. The guy on the bottom, even if he pushes up, gets loose, he usually makes slight contact with the guy in the middle, and that pushes everybody up towards the wall, and that's always how it happens like that. So just not sure if these, we were talking about it, at least our producer was thinking that these guys think they're at Talladega already or Daytona, so already 3-wide action all over the place for these guys here tonight, and it hasn't spelled well for a lot of the guys here over the first part of this race.
We did say at the top of the broadcast that the Chicagoland Speedway, one of the tracks that lets you play with the surface a little bit. There's a lot of room for you to move up and down the back straightaway, one of those, the front straightaway, obviously, because you have the apron to work. Sometimes, though, if there's room there down the front, the room might not be there off the corner, and I think that a couple of these guys might just have to settle things down just a little bit. A driver that's been in the middle of it all so far has been the driver of the Cobalt Chevrolet, Josh Ball. Andy, you've got him on the radio.
Yeah, I do have him on the radio here. Josh Ball, this is us guys up in the booth here. Usually you're up here in the booth, but now you find yourself in the truck tonight, and it's got a lot of action around there. It's got to be pretty crazy out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, we've been 3 and 4 wide a couple times now, and it's been pretty fun. These trucks are definitely handling here pretty good at Chicagoland, and it's a good night to get out here and just for once.
Well, a couple times you've ran in the trucks. The bad luck has has found you, and we'll knock on wood, obviously, but you found yourself up in the top 5 once you started in that 9th spot. You've done a good job once you got up there. How's that truck been handling for you as far as tonight?
Well, Andy, we still got 50 laps left, so I can definitely screw it up pretty quick. So, but otherwise, yeah, that's all right. I mean, I felt it, but it's been handling pretty good. First couple laps, pretty much the first lap or so after he's caution, you almost get full throttle the whole time. So, especially on a little bit older tires, you might not be able to, but. Like that last caution, I couldn't. I'd stayed out a couple times, but we went down and got 2 right sides, and hopefully we'll be able to stick it out here. Most of the guys have been running pretty good, so just close racing. But it's fun. It's mostly full throttle, a little bit of burp. So.
Well, listen, don't get too used to it. We still like having you up here in the booth, but anyway, good luck the rest of the night, and hopefully we can talk to you in Victory Lane.
All right, thanks, guys.
So the 48 machine, he's got some first-hand experience. He's going to be P4 for this restart. And through all of this, you would expect a lot of the standings to be shuffled up. Not really the case. A fair amount of the guys up front started there, with the exception of your leader, Glenn Hedrick, the number 21 Toyota, started in 21st. And that was as well dead last on the starting grid. Well, he's going to bring us back to the green flag next time around as the lights go off on the pace car. So while you don't like to see the yellows, that has been working in the favor of a couple of guys. Shane McKeechin up a few spots. He started P11. He's also a top 10 car with a P6 right now.
Yeah, it has been the basically the guys who started in the front have been in the front. We saw some of these other guys that were outside the top 10 up closer to the front. Sean Bounty, one of them to be exact, but he's had damage here over the course of a couple cautions ago. So that's put a couple of those guys back in the pack that did make their way up to the front. So we'll see what can happen here, but it's going to be interesting remainder of this race, especially when we start running closer and closer to that time.
Right now, so far, 32 minutes of the 1 hour and 10 minutes have been allotted, and we're just a little bit shy of crossing the halfway point. Again, not something that we've had to deal with in a little bit of time here. Race length's a little bit shorter than what we saw at the beginning of the season. One Roddcar Truck Tour Championship back in 2015. It might be something that you might want to have your crew chief keep it a half eye on. Pace car back down, and we go green again, and it's time. The 21, you'll have the advantage at the start finish on 18 trucks, still in it, 3 wide, in the back we go. Here comes Brandon Chiverko up the bottom on Rodney Wofford, and a close call there as the Tenemu Stalkus cuts down. They're beating and banging and wiggling at 170 out of turn 2.
I'll tell you what, he keeps it exciting lap after lap, and they're going 3 wide again for that second spot. Stayed out on the older tires. Glenn Hedrick now on the defensive move now as he goes way up the racetrack to let all these guys go by. 3 wide all over the racetrack right now. Top 4, they've separated themselves, but it gets all crazy when you get back towards the top 10. It looks like everybody going to straighten it out now. Glenn Hedrick now all the way back to about 12th to 13th spot here as they run, and they continue to run at least side by side right now. Tom Moustakis, Rodney Wofford, that's the first side by side battle.
Yeah, he was in the middle. They were squeezing him top and bottom, so he got up and out of the way, and it's going to make things a little bit less congested in the front of the field. In fact, the top 3 single file for the moment. It's Jorgensen up in the top spot. Josh Ball running second. Brandon Chiverko now in third, and that's where the calm stops. You got the 26 Arata flag a little bit further behind in P7. He's on the inside of the 71 of Christian Peterson behind Tim. You got Ryan Pylan, the 89 of Matt Quick. They're up at each other's door as well. Plenty of action now. 4 laps off of the green flag. And to be suggested maybe a couple of guys take it easy, I don't think they're adhering to our warning.
No, they're absolutely not. We actually see a good battle for the lead right now. The 48 of Josh Ball, he had a great run through 3 and 4. Chose to go to the high side. Actually had a decent run. Not able to complete the pass, though. Jorgensen able to hold him off on the bottom side. Now Brandon Chiverko puts himself in the mix. They're going to go side by side. Josh Ball gets into the wall just a bit right there. They're able to keep it straight right now. Lose a little bit of time right now. Rodney Wofford's going to take advantage of that. He'll go to the inside and try to get that 3rd spot.
And a big wiggle, he's able to keep the car under control, but it is going to cost him a lot of speed. Look at Moustakis, the 10, back into P5. He's been working the back bumper of Randy Wofford for a couple of laps. The 48 tried to interject himself in between them, but he basically just took the air off the back of that truck when he got on the left rear and to move the 48 up out of the way. It is close quarters racing, and as we heard Josh Shea on the caution flag there, that these guys are basically holding the pedal to the metal all the way around the racetrack, and that's what gives them the ability to do this. There goes the 48. Ball goes around. Rod flag's going to be collected. He'll come down and take out Pileski and add to the carnage. Big jump in turn number 4. The yellow flag is back out, and like it all started with the 48 machine. Andy got a little bit too comfy down on that apron.
Yeah, the apron is not a comfortable place to be right there, and just put those left side tires on. It only took a little bit. That's all it was right there. It ends up that starts to put you around loose as we get the replay on your screen, and once you start getting loose like that, it's very hard to keep it straight, and you can see him correct it and overcorrect it, went back up the racetrack, and ended up clipping Rod flag as well. So that 26 machine just cannot catch a break. That's twice now he's been the recipient of someone else's misfortune.
And it happens on a night, too, where he's got the speed to probably put that truck, or at least fight to put that truck in victory lane. And they were all following each other in a single file line at the middle of turns 3 and 4. So the driver in front of the 48, Tom Moustakis, in the 10, he was down on that apron as well. Andy, behind the 48, Rod Flag drove himself onto the apron also. The 48 just happened to be down maybe half a foot more so to the left than the other guys, and he's the one that went around. But when there's so much going on at once, you're not really looking for the marks on the racetrack. If you're out by yourself on a green flag stretch, obviously you've got braking points, you've got marks in the corner that you want to hit. At a big pack like that, really, you're just kind of looking at the other trucks around you and following them. And I don't even think the 48 knew really that he was that close to the apron until he hit it.
Well, you're absolutely right. And you got to remember, too, there's bumps in these corners, too. It's just an older racetrack, and sometimes getting on those bumps will upset you. You think you're in a good spot, and you're right above that line, and you hit a bump just the wrong way right when you're cranking on that wheel, and that'll get you loose as well. That'll maybe you end up chasing the truck down the track a little bit just to keep it straight, and I think that could have possibly been one of the things that helped him at least get to the apron there. So it's a tricky track. You got to be on that white line in 3 and 4 to really get a lot of speed, but you can't be too far down there. So it's a very fine line, and if you take your eyes off the road just for a second there, it'll definitely cost you. And this round of pit stops was pretty interesting too as well. A couple guys with 2 tires, actually 3 in the top 4 there with 2 tires. Jorgensen, the first one on 4 tires, he was still able to beat out Sean Bowney, and but Matt Quick took 2, and Tom Moustakis and Rodney Wofford actually as well. So a bunch of guys still taking that 2-tire strategy.
Yeah, they continue to gamble, and I think they almost have the sense that, Dandy, if they don't make a gamble, or if they don't keep the foot down to the floor, then somebody else is going to. We've said a couple of times it's early, take it easy. Well, we're now past the halfway point. 83 laps of competition in the works, and we're right now on lap 42. So we're going to start counting down towards the end of the race. These guys are going to continue to take more and more risks on top of that, sure, but also you have to mention that if they decide to take 4 tires every time, if they decide to lift and not force the 3-wad, somebody else is going to do it, and then they're going to get kicked back to 15th position. So it's almost fight or die here. You just have to go for it. And, a super competitive racetrack and a setup on these trucks that allows them to do that does that. But with that being said, it's kind of a bad spot to stick these guys in, because some of them I'm sure want to take it easy, some of them I'm sure don't want to. But I think all of these guys just have to go at it every single time, because if you're not moving forward, somebody's going to be moving forward around you.
Well, that's a lot of it, too, has to do with the trucks. The trucks are such a momentum-based vehicle on the sim that when you have that momentum, you don't want to lose it. You don't want to give it up and let off the throttle, and I think that's the case we're seeing a lot. Some of the guys losing that momentum, they'll be a little bit slower, and you'll see these other guys coming up behind them with a full head of steam, and they don't want to lift. They don't want to give up that momentum they have, so they force it 3 wide or even force it into an area that quite isn't open for them. So I think that a lot of that's what we're seeing, and I think a lot of it just has to do on basically on the package and the draft that comes into play too as well here with these trucks. So a lot goes into it, I think. But when you're at a track that's really competitive like this, that carries a lot of speed like it does, it's almost like a Charlotte. You feel invincible. You feel like you're fast enough to get to the front, so you want to get there as quick as possible.
And we haven't seen a long green flag stretch tonight, really, so we don't know, if that happens here in the second half of the race, what that'll mean on the tires for the guys that have been really going at it once they drop the green flag. We'll do just that, though. 16 drivers going to be left on the lead lap. 40 laps to go in the Windy City. Pace car going to make the swing to the inside. Let's see what the 11 machine, Mark Emery, can do. He and the number 7, Rodney Wofford, on the front row. Green flag flies back in the air. And a good jump for the outside lane. The 11 can't get going. Moustakis, he looks to the inside. No lane there. Already 3 wide and 4 wide. Down to turn number 1. They're going to run in a row. There goes the 11 of Emery. He slides up, cross-checks a couple of guys into the fence, and it's a mess.
It is a huge mess. The 3, the 88, the 10 involved. Looks like a couple guys, Christian Peterson, able to get through that there. But, yeah, the 11 it looked like the 11 wanted to get to the apron to get out of the way. But once he got on the apron, he was still carrying too much speed that when you had to turn, there's nowhere to go and there's no banking to help you turn. And he ends up pushing up back into the racetrack, makes contact with those guys, and it just caused pretty much a parking lot there in turns 1 and 2. So a few guys able to get through it there, but just not enough. I think too much speed for that 11 truck on the inside, and that's pretty much what caused it.
Yeah, I can't promise you that they worked at a junket anyways because they were beating on each other, but they put us up here, Andy, because we can't drive, but I would suggest if you want to get out of the way, don't lead the field back to the green flag. That would have been my suggestion.
Yeah, that
there
would be a smart one right there.
I think it would have worked a lot better. And again, he did try to get out of the way. We saw the last time he's had somebody up front on old tires. They got jumped on, and they were in the middle, which wasn't a good spot to be in. They eventually jumped to the outside of the racetrack. Emery knew that they were coming on him. He went to the inside, but again, I think he failed to realize that the apron doesn't have the 18 degrees of banking, and it didn't work. And he got up into the 3 at Chiburko. They almost made it through. It was a little bit of contact. Jorgensen also in the 88 machine got sent down to the apron also. He just got clipped, I think, by the 11. He came back up, but it was really 2 separate accidents. The 88 brings out the yellow. He gets absolutely clobbered. He got a lot of junk in turn number 2. And the carnage continues tonight at Chicagoland Speedway. You want to talk about a rate of attrition. These guys are starting to drop like flies.
Yeah, I mean, I would think we're at Bristol or Martinsville, honestly, or maybe even Rockingham. But the way these guys are racing, the way the carnage is starting to pile up here. 21 trucks at the beginning of the race, only 14 still left on the lead lap, and only about 18 still actually in this one racing. Might even be less than that. Not sure if the 26 or Rod Flag will actually get back out on the racetrack. He's still on pit road as well. So there's still a bunch of guys, I guess, still left out there. A couple of the big names we mentioned early on that aren't here tonight. Casey Malone, 3-time winner so far this season, and a 2-time winner. Seth the Merchant also not making the start here at Chicagoland, and maybe probably for the better, I guess, the way things are going right now. Although I wouldn't be surprised if those guys were here. They probably would be up front.
Yeah, he's saving the team at the shop a little bit of work and keeping some of that sheet metal clean for next week. We look forward to what's going to be coming up for the rest of this 2016 championship. Still have a couple of intermediate racetracks on the calendar. We have Kansas coming up, Auto Club Speedway, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Phoenix, Texas, Talladega, and Homestead still to come. So this championship is far from over, and we can talk all we want about the points. How the Merchants out in front by 38 to Peterson, Malone, Wofford, Henry, etc. But those final 4 races, when the drop weeks come into a factor, are really going to be tonight, so you want to make sure you don't miss anything right here on LSRTV, because that's when it gets real, and it's going to be exciting nonetheless. For the second part, though, of our doubleheader, Andy, we're 4 races away from the iSuper Chase tonight. We go racing for round number 12 at the Daytona International Speedway for the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series, and in 3 weeks at Talladega before we go chase racing, and that's always fun for the doubleheader here on Friday nights.
Yeah, I can't wait for the chase. I had so much fun, and the chase last season was my first chase here at the iSuper Speedway Series, and I thought it was so much fun, and we always talk about how the super speedways are such a wild card type of race, because anything and usually anything does happen at those racetracks, and to have a chase format, elimination type format at those racetracks, that just makes it that much more tougher to get the job done. And honestly, that's probably why we've never seen a two-time iSuper Speedway Series champion yet.
Yeah, the chase elimination format, a little bit of a crapshoot, but of course, racing at a plate track every single week is a little bit of a crapshoot as well. So it's always fun, and we got that covered up here in just about an hour's time on LSRTV and iRacing Live. We hope you're with us at the conclusion of tonight's Roddcar Truck Tour race, 10 Eastern. For that one, we're going to go a little bit of endurance racing tonight at Daytona International Speedway. But back to the race at hand, Roddy Wofford has been kind of solidifying himself as the driver in control of the race. We've seen a lot of battling still, much like we did in the opening 20-25 laps. However, not a lot of the battling has been for the race lead. It's been inside the top 5, it's been inside the top 10, but the 7 has been in front of a lot of the action for the better portion of, I'd say, the last 2 or 3 restarts. And I would think we're going to be able to make it down to the end of this one on race length, but we do have just inside of 25 minutes left to go on the timer. So it's going to be first driver to get to the checkered flag and complete the next 36 laps, or we're going to go for another 25 minutes. But I think the time will not be a factor. We'll still have to see. They're going to be cutting it tight.
That will be really tight as the green flag waves once again, and pretty good start on the bottom side. We've seen him do it the last couple of times now. Rodney Wofford taking over that race lead on the bottom side. Matt Quick, first time we've talked about him inside the top 5. He's on the outside lane right there, but he's getting freight train. Here comes Shane McEachin. First time he's been up here in the front. Look at Josh Ball bouncing back now. He's up there battling for that 3rd spot.
And he was bouncing off the walls now up front, and there you go, contact the 28 of McEachin. He goes up and into the fence. McEachin's going to be able to sneak through that one, rather. We hang on for the time being. There's the caution flag now, but it'll come down from the tower after contact inside of the top 5. Josh Ball, the 89 on the outside of the racetrack, Matt Quick. I think the 89 machine thought that he was the one in line, Andy, and the 48 was going to be below him. I think the 48 thought that he was the one in line, and the 89 was going to be on the outside, because it looked like they were both trying to follow Shane McEachin into the corner. That did not work. A pretty big look to the outside fence for Quick. The 77, the 71 end up in the outside wall as well. Nobody goes all the way around, but that's a lot of damage. A lot of guys check it up, so the caution flag does come in from the tower for an accident involving 3 or more trucks. And just like that, we pace once again.
And we pace, and pit road is open, and the leader's coming back down again. Now Rodney Wofford leading that train down, and a big shout-out, though, to Shane McEachin, starting outside the top 10 here tonight. Kind of basically staying out of trouble for the most part all night long, and finds himself in second heading down pit road. And along with him, Christian Peterson doing a great job as well to avoid the majority of the wrecks that have been happening out there. A couple guys announcing that they're done for the night, the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr., he as well joins the carnage, and he will sit the rest of this one out. So that 88 truck having a pretty good season thus far, and he'll have to call it quits here at Chicagoland pretty early. Rodney Wofford, though, he wins the battle off pit road. Shane McEachin will follow him out second.
So they're getting their service worth, and I think they know that they need the tires if they want to be relevant in any of these restarts. A lot of yellows so far tonight at the Chicagoland Speedway, but we are far from done in the Chicago 125. We shuffle them up once more. And we look at the 94 of Frank Basilia. He leads the way at lap number 51, and we'll take this opportunity inside of the halfway point to step away. We'll go LSRTV nonstop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. Basilia leads the Chicago 125, closing in on the checkered.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31, and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion, and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacing Live, coverage brought to you by LSRTV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back live at the Chicagoland Speedway. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Roddcar Truck Tour live tonight on iRacing Live. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler topside with you, working under another yellow, but we are within 30 laps to go in the finish. This time by Josh Ball once again now to the point. He'll put Rodney Wofford behind him. The 7 has led the last couple of laps around. So as we said, the number of trucks, if you look out there, it's pretty easy to notice that they're starting to dwindle down. We'll delay the restart for one additional lap around. A couple of wave bys still need to get in line towards the back of this pack. But just because we're running out of trucks, Andy, doesn't mean we're going to run out of excitement. These guys will still find a way to make it 5 wide.
Well, eventually we might run out of trucks the way this is going. It might be a battle of who can get off a pit road with fixing their damage first.
So the lights will go back out this time by. We have 11 drivers on the lead lap. A couple of them beat up towards the back. A couple of guys off of the lead lap that are still out there on the racetrack. Rod Flag, we talked all night long at the beginning, Andy, about how strong that truck was. He's 14th position and 5 laps down. So the night not going to go in his favor. He looks for some better luck later on tonight in part 2 of our doubleheader. There's a couple of guys up front, though, that have been the constants. Josh Ball, Rodney Wofford, I think, are the 2 best guys so far tonight.
Yeah, and I wouldn't count out that 71 truck either. Third in line on that bottom side, so I expect him to get a couple positions maybe off here on this restart. We'll see what that 71 can do. He's been strong all season long, sitting there in second in points as well. So I definitely, whenever you see that 71 at the racetrack, you definitely can't count him out as well.
It'll be Bounty to the outside of row number 1 in P2, and to the right-hand side of Wofford in row number 2 in 4th spot is the 28 of Shane McEachin. You still have Christian Peterson in 5th. Brandon Chiburko is P6. Those are names that you can never count out of the question. They're going to make them work for it. Nonetheless, 20 minutes left on the race clock and 29 laps left of competition. Going to continue to cut this one close all the way down to the checkered flag. Let's see who's got the best truck left on the track. Pace car down and away. Josh Ball going to be the control truck into the American Ethanol restart zone. Green flag again. And 3 wide we go. The number 3 to the bottom. All the way down to the grass is Brandon Chiburko. Can he get to the inside of the 7-0? Wofford shuts the door. He gets to the apron and slides up. A big bobble in turn number 1. Chiburko struggles to hang on. He will. Somehow we're all still pointed forward.
I'm telling you what, it does not make it not exciting. I don't know if that's the right terminology there or whatever, but anyway, by my estimation, that 3 truck, he probably puts it in the most spots ever than anybody else I've ever seen. You can see him right there cutting it down again. Oh, contact for the lead. Some contact with the 7 truck and the 48 of Josh Ball, and Rodney Wofford's going to come back up the racetrack and going to avoid something. No caution, though, but that 7 truck making that contact is going to put him out. Now the battle for the lead continues down to 3.
Yeah, so Wofford hung on, but it cost Josh Ball a lot of momentum after the 48 nearly got turned as well. And to the point goes Shane McEachin. The Havoline Toyota is now out in front at lap number 57. Ball thought about the crossover at a 4, did not work, and now the advantage for the 28 grows to a truck length. And the biggest difference I see here is Shane McEachin's got a clean truck. Josh Ball's got a truck that's beaten up. How much of an advantage will that actually be, though? The 48 keeping him honest for now, struggling to get back to the bumper.
Yeah, he's keeping him honest. I think that draft is what's keeping the 48 in this right now, and he's able to at least keep that draft, keep the speed up, keep the momentum going. He's able to keep at least a 2 truck length distance right now, but that 71 of Christian Peterson is starting to catch up into the picture now as well. I think he let off a little bit trying to avoid what was going on with that 7 a couple laps ago, and now you're starting to see that speed come out in that 71 as Christian Peterson starts to make his way onto the back bumper of Josh Ball in turn 3.
He's going to challenge him for that spot, and if they do battle, it's going to give Shane McEachin a big advantage. He needs to get away, but again, the draft won't let him break away, and the 71 of Peterson knows that. And that means that he's got to get up on the wheel and he's got to go before they get to maybe 4 or 5 tenths of a second, and from there on out, the draft starts to break away. Well, he'll be able to be right on his back bumper in just a couple of laps. Caution flag. Back out and hard into the outside wall is Rod flag. When it rains, it pours, and the Cheerio Chevrolet just got taken out. Major issues for Justin Anderson in the 77, and he got taken out also. It was Chiburko side by side. I think that's with the 21 machine of Glenn Hedrick. No, Hedrick, this goes all the way back to the back straightaway, Andy. The 21, he gives Chiburko a shot into the corner. The 3 bobbles comes up, takes out the 77 of Anderson. At about 25 seconds later, he comes down and takes out Rod flag, and that's a 4-truck caution flag.
Yeah, it's 4 trucks now involved in that one. Another caution on the speedway. Shane McEachin will keep that race lead as they catch up to the pace car now in turn number 3, and I think you'll see most of these guys come down pit road again. You'll see more and more of them start to take some more gambles. I think you'll see a lot more guys still trying that two tire action, but a lot of different names up towards the front, and because of all the damage we've seen all night long here with most of the field as they do come down pit road, so the leaders back down to make another stop. Eventually you'd think they'd run out of tires.
And they've got a limited set, so they're good. I think that wreck perfectly describes what we've seen so far tonight. Out of any pieces of those 4 times somebody got into each other, you could have just not hit another truck, and you could have, ended up at a fence, and that's it. But every single time there was somebody else there. Maybe it's a full moon, although it technically is late evening here at the Chicagoland Speedway. It's just one of those days. Shane McEachin, leader down to the pit lane. They'll take 4 tires and fuel, race off the pit road. He will go nose to nose, but not get it. Christian Peterson, the 71, by what I would assume is going to be just inches, will edge out the 28 at the commitment cone coming out of the pit lane. And iRacing going to give him the scoring position out in front. I find that interesting, Andy, because I look at all 3 white lines coming out of pit road. I saw McEachin in front, but scoring and timing will give the spot to Christian Peterson.
Yeah, definitely will give him that spot, at least for now. More action up to the front, though. Some guys taking more gambles up there as it looks like Jorgensen gets a wave around, gets one of those many laps back, and looks like when we come back around here, we might see the 23. Nope, he's laps down as well. So it looks like Josh Ball's going to assume the race lead here with Sean Bounty as well now inside the top 2. So I'll tell you what, those 2 guys may have damaged race trucks, but they're doing a heck of a job being able to stay up front even with all that damage. Not sure if they're race winning trucks, but they still have at least enough speed to keep themselves up there.
And then we restack them again. We go at it this time with less trucks. Now it looks like 4 going to be left on the lead lap. But again, while these guys have been up front for a majority of the race, I guess you consider everybody inside the top 8 up front that's left, but they haven't had perfect nights. Josh Ball was in an accident after we talked with him. Sean Bounty's truck is torn up, but he's trying to come back from a strong finish just a couple of weeks ago and continue his charge towards the front of the field. You got Peterson, who's a little bit beat up. I still think Shane McKeechid, the only driver with a clean truck that's on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've mentioned him once in any of the cautions, so he might have been involved in one of them, but they do get one reset, so I think that that probably helped out Shane McKeechin there. But like you said, coming down this late in the race, and we're pushing it close to the time limit as well, too. We got only about 14 minutes left on the timer, so these guys got about 20 laps to get in here in 14 minutes, which is very doable as long as we can keep it green.
We look to see, going to be inside of 20 laps to go when we get set to drop the hammer again. In fact, we'll be right at 20 laps to go at the Chicagoland Speedway. And I was being the optimist on the time, but we've got just a little bit over 10 minutes left on the clock. So I think if you get 2 more yellows in the next 20 laps around the Chicagoland Speedway, you may not make it to the end. However, it might be just so tight towards the end of the race that it may not really make a huge difference on the end of this one. You're going to have to see what's going to do. Pace car will go down this time. Here's the drivers that are left. There's 10 on the lead lap. Josh Ball, Sean Bounty on the front row. We also mentioned Christian Peterson and Shane McKeechid. They make up row 2 and P3 and P4. You got Frank Basilia 5th, Glenn Hedrick in 6th, 7th Rodney Watford, Ray Rittenauer at 8th, 9th is Brandon Shaburko, and 10th is Matt Quick. Quick is pretty torn up at the back of the pack, and he's trying to catch up for the restart. Get in front of it all. Don't let him go 3 wide on you. That's all I can say.
Well, I'll tell you what, as soon as the green flag flies, I think we'll see that 3 truck go 3 wide again. It'll probably go to the inside down on the apron with Rodney Watford, but we'll have to see here as the pace car getting ready to pull off.
Pace car get to go down to the inside. Could it be for the final time tonight? Green flag gets set to drop into the restart zone. Green flag in the air and across the start-finish line. There's the 3 wide. Newman to the inside. That's the 71 of Peterson. This time, though, it's not there. He'll ride the bumper all the way down to turn number 1. A lot of contact in the pack. Caution behind.
87 of Ray Rittenauer making some contact, and he goes up into the wall into turn number 1. So that time we didn't even get to turn number 1, and we got ourselves another caution. A couple guys switching spots up towards the front, though. It looks like Christian Peterson will restart second this time, though. So Sean Bounty with that damage, unable to hang on to that position. Frank Basilia, good rebound for him. It looks like he'll be 4th.
If you didn't get the reference, it was the Peterson-Newman dive down to turn 1. He just didn't get into anybody, and the problem's actually behind these guys. The 88 Machida Jorgensen to the bottom, and I mean, the truck didn't look like he got loose. I just don't think he saw the 87 there. The 87 was on the second lane, kind of slid down to the bottom lane up top, but Jorgensen definitely just came up and took him out, and that's another incident that could have been avoided. It happens. The caution flag is backed out. That'll be slow him down. So Josh Ball's in front of the field. Will step away at least one more time. You're watching the Roddcar Truck Tour on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Josh Ball, your leader, inside of the final 20 laps of the Chicago 125. We're back live at the Chicagoland Speedway with the Roddcar Truck Tour on LSRTV. The yellow flag remains out. We take this opportunity and step away. We'll be back in a moment. Well, we're back live at the Chicagoland Speedway, and in a night that was most certainly unique, an interesting finish. The caution flag comes back out, and with that being said, well, the race is done. So we're going to call this one at lap number 66 of the scheduled 83, and your winner is going to be Josh Ball, the number 48 Cobalt Chevrolet, burning it down on the front straightaway, and I know that we talked with him a couple of times on the night. We'll pull him up on the radio, Josh. I know we talked with you a few times, and I don't think we would have thought that you would have been doing burnouts on lap 68, but somehow you get the job done, and you're up in front at the right time, and you win this thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know what. I guess the pace car didn't come out or whatever, but we stick on the strategy trying to stay in up front. 2 tires a couple times. We took 4 there a couple cautions ago, and then we tried to stay with 2. And just to stay up there, we know we had a couple guys behind us with Roddcar, so that was a plan.
And I think the early end here saves a couple of guys from getting torn up a little bit also. In this one up at the front of the field there, but we mentioned that it wasn't a perfect night for you because you had a couple of times there you got bounced around a little bit. What was it like, though, getting back up to the field and in traffic? Because at the end, only 10 drivers finished on the lead lap, so it wasn't a big deal, having to get by a lot of people to get back to the front. What was it like, though, with that limited amount of trucks, having a little bit more room to work around, but it looks like we just couldn't really break free of those yellows?
It felt like when the truck got back in traffic, it really just it slowed down a lot. It wouldn't turn as well, so that was why I stayed out front. I was able to block the couple times they were coming on the start to keep the lead, and that's really what won it on that last restart was keeping the 71 of Chris Peterson behind me. So.
A strong run for you guys. You take home the checkered flag, and we look at the season that it has been so far. An interesting one. We're now starting to get down to crunch time. First trip for you into the Roddcar Truck Tour Victory Lane on the season. One of the few starts that you've made this year. You liking that whole driving thing again?
Yeah, it was fun to get out here tonight, but I'll probably be back up in the booth next week. And it's the first time we got the truck in Victory Lane throughout as long as I remember. So it's definitely a good night. So.
Well, I know that the main event per se coming up in just a little bit over 30 minutes right here on LSRTV. So we'll let you go, Josh. Before we do, sponsor shout-outs. Anybody you want to give a call to?
Oh, we'll just thank Lowe's on the car every week. Cobalt. We also got anybody out there. Rod that puts on the league. Frank that's helping out. Andrew that got the site going back. LSRTV. Anybody else out there? Team H. Jorgensen, Chaburko, and Pylon. But everybody else out there that supports me week in, week out.
All right, well, hey, congratulations. Best of luck. Hopefully we'll talk with you later.
Thanks, guys.
That is tonight's winner from the Chicagoland Speedway. Josh Ball gets the job done. A P2 for Shade McKeechin, the 28 machine, with a solid result as well. But, Andy, you were caught up with our third place finisher,
Last
Sean
caution,
Bounty.
2 tires. Hello?
Yeah, I did catch up with our third place driver. He was talking with some other guys, but Sean Bounty, congratulations. Kind of a wild night there. Found yourself up front a little bit, got kicked back to the back with some damage, and ultimately, when it mattered the most, good strategy call on pit road, and you were able to come out with a top 3.
Yeah, didn't get the greatest qualifying time, but we, right off the drop of the flag, we just drove through the field a couple times, hit some cautions right, and got a little off sequence with the field, so I took 4, they took 2, they took 2, I took 4, and just right at the end, it just felt right. We were coming down to the end, got the damage fixed, and wanted to get track position, because I didn't know what was going to happen, or how many other people were going to take 2, so I just wanted to be right up front, right if something happened, if a caution came out, if we ran out of time or whatnot, so it just worked out that just barely squeezed in for 3rd right there.
Well, ultimately, you're able to get the job done, and it hasn't been a run for the championship kind of season, kind of just sporadic truck series starts. But obviously, when you get the job done, when you do make the starts, it makes it a lot more rewarding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of tracks that I've been coming to in the trucks where we'll be running pretty well and pretty upfront and competitive, or at least getting to the front. So when I do come in here, it's pretty fun, but just keep getting caught up in a lot of mayhem and some wrecks, like even tonight. But at the end of the night, just got lucky at the very end.
That's what it's all about. Sponsor shout out, Sean. Who helps you get that 34 to the track every week?
I got Do Your Part.org on the hood. They're with us pretty much my entire career, and definitely like to thank them for everything that they do. It's extraordinary sponsor, and I love supporting them. And I really appreciate your broadcast, getting us out there. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. We know you got a lot of work to do coming up with a big race at Daytona here in just a little bit. So good luck with that, and hopefully we'll talk to you then.
All right, thank you.
There you have it. He is our third place finisher here tonight, and I think Evan has finally caught up with our second place finisher.
That's right. The P2 tonight going to go to Christian Peterson behind the wheel of the number 71 machine. Christian, congrats to you. Solid finish. Kind of a roulette game at the end there. You could have easily been in front at that yellow. Nobody really thought that caution was going to end the race. But sometimes things happen. So you end up with a P2 tonight.
Oh, yeah, solid points day. The race was pretty pathetic. I mean, there was a lot of dumb calls by a couple of people that really screwed the race up. But, I mean, it happens, and I don't know. Everybody, at the end there, it was kind of working out towards me and Shane and I. I think we had two of the cleanest trucks out there, and if we got to race it out, I think one of us would have got it, but, you know, things happen, and it was a good points day. Seth didn't show up tonight, so we gained some points on him, and Casey wasn't here either, so that's good points night.
A solid result for you guys. We were talking a lot about the guys that we saw up front a lot in this race, and the 71 was there, but not one of the names that was controlling the pace of this race. Not that anybody really got to spend a lot of time P1 because it was a revolving door, but there was a lot going on there. What were you guys trying to do up in that fray up front, which was most of the time 3 and 4 wide?
I did a bunch of practice yesterday, and I guess either the setup was different or the weather was a little bit different. But in the race compared to yesterday, we could drive it in there full throttle and never lift. And yesterday I was not doing that. So really, I was trying to keep momentum up, but I was trying to save my right front a little bit. And it just never got to the point where that helped me or was able to pay off. So, we bit the bullet and, rode around, and I don't know, I think we were around 8th or 7th for a lot of the race, and they wrecked in front of us. Big wreck on lap 44 at the restart, and I managed to get through it. I don't know how I did that, so that was fun. But, like I said, good points day, but, I don't know. We were just trying to hang in the back and not get much damage.
It's a good result for tonight that otherwise was a headache for a lot of you guys. And Seth the Merchant doesn't make a start tonight, so it'll help you as well as you kind of try to battle with him for the championship rolling forward. A P2 are safe to say not going to be one of your drop weeks that you're going to use. Before we let you go, sponsors, shout-outs, who do you want to thank for another good run?
Just want to thank everybody at Six Man, P Money Designs, Preston Pardis, YouTube.com says Preston Pardis. He's got a bunch of stuff on there, and you guys in the booth for putting this on, and Rod for doing what he does.
Well, tonight was most sure a interesting evening. We wish you the best of luck. Hope it continues on. We'll see you here in about a half hour at Daytona.
Yeah, thanks, Evan.
So Christian Peterson comes home P2. Your official top 10 going to be Josh Ball, Christian Peterson, Sean Bounty, Frank Basilia, Shane McKeechin, and then Rodney Wofford, Brandon Schaberko, Glenn Hendrick, Ray Rittenauer, and Matt Quick through P10. The rest of the field will go as Mark Emery, Justin Anderson, Rod Flagg, Ryan Keese, Mark Jorgensen Jr., and then Ryan Pylan, Tom Moustakis, James Pileski, Dana Osborne, Ramon Evans, and Jared Haggerty. That's a look at 11 through 21. Of course, the scoring and timing going to be a little bit messed up, but that's going to be the official results rolling forward. Weird night. I did say that it was a late afternoon, an evening race here at Chicago, Andy. We see the sun going down behind the grandstand, but I'm convinced there was a full moon out there somewhere. It was just weird. The ending was weird. There was a lot of, like I said, that accident where we had 4 guys hit each other from the back stretch to the front stretch to cause an accident. For that to happen was weird, but there was also a lot of incidents I think that we could have avoided tonight. Just an overall off evening, I think, for these guys.
I think the finish fit the race, honestly.
Yeah.
The way it went, you got to be right about the full moon somewhere. It just, I don't know, right from the get-go, the 3 and 4 wide action we saw right from the drop of the green flag, I think really set the tone for the race. And it didn't really allow anybody to get in that groove. We didn't see the long green flag runs we've been accustomed to this season. So, listen, it is what it is. We'll chalk it up. We'll move on to the next race. And, of course, we'll also move on to what's coming up here, big one here tonight, getting ready for the chase to happen.
That's right here on LSRTV is going to be the place to be, just about 30 minutes away from drop of the green flag at the World Center of Racing for feature race number 12 on the Ice Super Speedway Season 6 campaign. A little bit of an endurance race to come here at Daytona International Speedway. So until we get to part 2 of our Friday night double feature, we'll say goodnight from the Chicagoland Speedway. I want to thank you all for tuning in here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And on behalf of everybody at LSRTV LLC and for the broadcast team tonight, I'm Evan Pasoko for Andy Kessler, Cisco Scarbosa. Congratulations to tonight's winner after a wild one. Josh Ball going to walk away with the checkered flag. We'll see you for part 2 of our doubleheader tonight right here on iRacing Live. Daytona coming up next.